Good afternoon, everyone. Claudia,
Hello.
hi.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Claudia, are we good to start and call to order?
Can you wait just a couple of minutes? We're waiting for a few members to join.
Okay, sounds good. Just let me know when.
Thank you.
Just went, yeah.
Hi, Chair. I think we might be ready to start.
Okay, great. So we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 1:03 p.m. And the first item on the agenda is introductions of members and guests. So I'll go ahead and start us off. I'm Jennifer Ramirez. I am the Executive Director for Partnership for Children and currently your chair.
Hi, everyone. My name is Steve Macias. I'm the Vice Chair of the committee and also the Executive Director of the Client Center.
Anybody else, just go ahead and jump in.
Kevin Allshouse, the Contract Services Manager, MST.
Jessica McKillop, Executive Director for IT in Monterey County.
Hi everyone, Aaron Hernandez, Assistant Transportation Planner with TAMC, Transportation Agency for Monterey County.
I am Norman, Tweed People Keeping Chief Operating Officer for Monterey Salinas Transit District.
Hi, I'm David Cox. I'm the Operations Manager for MV Transportation.
Everyone, Miranda Taylor with AMBAG.
Bobby Merritt with Veterans Transition Center.
Paul Hireling, AMBAG.
Chris Stumich with AMBAG.
Matt Deal with Monterey Salinas Transit.
Okay, is that everybody?
No, Alejandro Fernandez, social workers, Davida Dialysis.
And Claudia with MST.
Great. Thank you all for joining us today. We're going to move on to public comments on matters not on the agenda. If anyone has a public comment, please.
Chair, sorry to interrupt. Can I do a roll call vote?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. Jessica McKillop.
Present.
Jennifer Ramirez.
Present.
Bobby Merritt.
Present.
Aaron Hernandez.
Present.
Reina Gross. Maria Magaña. Stephen Macias.
Present.
Alejandro Fernandez.
Present.
Reina Gross, are you on the call? Maria Magaña, are you on the call? We have a member, Leticia Garcia and Diana Jimenez absent, but we have a quorum. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. My apologies for skipping that agenda item. It's moved right along.
Oh, no problem.
Okay. Yes.
This is Christy, Sigato Mobility Services Manager.
Yes.
There's
Hi.
two other folks here with me at the MST office. I'd like to get them introduced as well.
Wonderful. Yes, please.
Michael Coleman of Monterey Salinas Transit.
Welcome, Michael.
Thank you.
And Ruben Gomez, Mobility Specialist, MST.
Great. Welcome, Ruben. Thanks for joining us.
And I apologize, Leslie Van Dalen.
Great. Thank you, Leslie. Okay. So now we will move on to public comments on matters not on the agenda. If anyone has any public comments. Okay, so hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to item 3, which is the consent agenda, and 3.1 is approve minutes of the regular meeting of July 27th, 2022. You should have all received those via email.
Member McKillop will move for approval.
Okay, thank you.
Member Merritt seconds.
Okay, great. If we could get a vote on the motion.
Sure. Member McKillop,
Approve.
Member Ramirez,
Approved.
Member Merritt,
Aye.
Member Hernandez,
Yes.
Member Gross, Member Magana, Member Macias,
Aye.
Member Hernandez.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passed.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to item 4, presentations. And 4.1 is receive presentation of the new statewide REAP 2.0 program. Chris and Paul.
Thank you. All right, let's see. I was just planning on sharing my screen, but I don't need to. Let's move this. Let me just move some couple things around. Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. Thank you again for making time for us in your agenda today. My name is Chris Stumich. I'm here along with my actually 2 colleagues, but one colleague with regarding the REAP program, who is Paul Hirely, and we're planners at AMBAG. We're here today to provide a quick rundown of the Regional Early Action Planning Grants 2.0 program, and which is also known as REAP 2.0. A quick executive summary is that AMBAG is going to be receiving just over $10 million from the state to accelerate housing production. We expect to suballocate the vast majority of these funds to cities, counties, and potentially transit agencies throughout the region. As I go along with this presentation, we would like to ask if you could please think about maybe project needs that you may be aware of that might meet the program requirements that will be outlined. We want to hear from you. This will help us develop this year's program. And of course, please submit any comments or questions, or possibly we might have time to discuss any questions at the end. Next slide, please. Or do I do that? Thank you. Let's see.
Sorry. So there seems to be a little bit of an issue with this PDF. It seems to be like in edit. Bear with me when I'm changing slides. I can't just key through. It's making me scroll because it wants me to edit the PDF.
If it'd be easier for me to share my screen, I could do that as well, but thank you for doing that for me. As a reminder, the REAP 2.0 program is state funded, and it's meant to provide funds to regional governments to accelerate housing production, implement advanced the regional sustainable community strategy through vehicle miles traveled reduction. The objectives of the REAP 2.0 program are to accelerate infill development that facilitates housing supply, choice, and affordability, as well as affirmatively furthering fair housing and reduction of vehicle miles traveled. Next slide, please. Thank you. The REAP 2.0 program will be administered by the California Department of Housing and Community Development, HCD, in collaboration with the Governor's Office of Planning and Research, the Strategic Growth Council, and the California Air Resources Board. AMBAG's share of the MPO funding is $10,133,442.41, of which this is meant for the entire AMBAG region. So it's going to be spread out for projects throughout our region. The state has indicated that this year's focus is transformative programs, heavily weighted towards implementation. However, some planning activities may be allowed. Next slide, please. Thank you. Some projects and programs, the projects and programs should meet one or more of the 4 listed categories. Obviously, to be competitive, the more the better. Accelerate infill development that facilitates housing supply, choice, and affordability, realizing multimodal communities. Shifting travel behavior by reducing driving and increasing ridership. Keep in mind that projects should seek to meet the 3 objectives of infill housing, infill affordable housing, VMT reduction, and affirmatively furthering fair housing. Next slide, please. Thank you. Some examples of eligible uses under the accelerating infill development would be affordable housing development programs, rezoning and guiding development by updating planning documents, development standards, rezoning ordinances, revamping local planning processes to accelerate infill development, completing environmental clearance for infill development, establishing an affordable housing catalyst or trust fund or revolving loan fund for location efficient projects or infrastructure planning such as pre-development and investing in upgrading infrastructure to support infill development. Next slide, please. Examples of eligible multimodal community projects would be developing bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure plans and other multimodal plans or policies, investing in infrastructure projects, multimodal corridor studies associated with developing specific planning documents or implementation actions. In terms of shifting travel behavior to reducing driving, there's studying roadway pricing feasibility and implementing road pricing programs, funding the establishment of a local VMT impact fee or catalyzing a regional VMT mitigation bank. Note, this is not to pay into a VMT bank, but the establishing or catalyzing of one. Funding the implementation of parking and transportation demand management programs or ordinances, or accelerating infill housing production near jobs, transit, and resources. Next slide, please. Now, those were examples. These are a list of some potential, oh no, I'm sorry. These are examples of increasing ridership, transit ridership. Some ideas would be establishing more seamless regional transit systems, wayfinding to connect residential neighborhoods with job locations and routine destinations, developing and implementing multimodal access plans to and from transit, and planning for affordable housing near transit. Next slide, please. Now, these are some actual projects that have been posed to us during our outreach thus far. Gap funding for affordable housing developments, infrastructure projects to make housing possible, downtown high density affordable housing planning, VMT mitigation for affordable housing projects. Next slide. So some of the next steps for us in this program, moving forward, AMBAG is going to continue stakeholder outreach and public listening sessions to develop priorities, proposed uses, funding amounts, and other program components. We will be seeking board approval in just over a month, November 2022. And the application deadline is December 31st of this year. Next slide, please. And this is where we really want to hear from you. Are there any projects that might meet the REAP 2.0 guidelines, the goals and objectives? Or are there any community needs regarding affordable houses? Is there any projects that you might know of that you could possibly provide some input on? And the last slide, actually, I don't think I put a last slide in there, but I just wanted to, I was going to forward our contact information, but if anyone has any questions on this program, if you can think of any projects that might be suitable for REAP 2.0 funding, we ask that you please reach out to us at AMBAG. You can contact Paul Hirleen, or you can contact myself. Let me give you, let's see, Paul's email address is phirling, HIERLING at AMBAG, and mine is my first initial last name at AMBAG as well. C Dumich, DUYMICH at AMBAG. We would love to hear from you. We'd love to get your input. And with that, I would love to respond to any questions. More than likely, Paul will respond to the questions. He's the man with the answers.
Thank you, Chris.
My pleasure.
Do we have any questions or feedback at this time?
Hey, this is Paul. I would just kind of give an executive summary of the grant funding that's coming up, probably starting available in mid-2023. The bottom line is it's for housing. And so if folks know of any upcoming housing projects that may fit this program, then let us know. And even if you're not sure, let us know. We're really kind of collecting ideas on potential projects right now. So it's really a brainstorming session. So your project doesn't have to be a slam dunk. We really just kind of want to know of anything coming up that you think might need funding. It would fund veterans permanent housing. It could fund family housing. Temporary housing would be problematic because it's meant to fund long-term affordable housing. But I know that there are a lot of, an increase in permanent housing for a variety of populations out there right now. So anything that you all could share would be greatly appreciated.
Wonderful. Thank you both. So I encourage everyone to submit suggestions and feedback via email. If you don't have anything right now, maybe something will come up for you. Okay, so we'll move to 4.2, receive presentation on the draft 2022 Coordinated Public Transit Human Services Transportation Plan. Miranda Taylor.
Hi, thank you. Is it possible to share my screen for my PowerPoint slides? It might need to be brought up. Oh, thank you. Perfect. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Awesome. Okay, so I'm here today. I'm with AMBAG. I'm a planner for the transportation team, and I'm here to discuss our draft 2022 Coordinated Public Transit Human Services Transportation Plan that is currently open for a 30-day public comment period until October 17th. So I was here earlier in the year, but as a refresher, AMBAG is required to develop a coordinated plan for the Tri-County region every 4 years. Under the 2015 FAST Act, the plan must be completed and used in developing grant applications for the FTA's 5310 grant program. The FTA's 5310 grant program makes federal resources available to assist in meeting the transportation needs for older adults and individuals with disabilities and persons with low incomes when the current options aren't sufficient and not available or are not appropriate to meet the needs that they currently have. So the coordinated plan is a regional planning tool which identifies all these local transportation needs, and it provides a wide range of specialized transportation services and projects for those individuals. And projects identified in the coordinated plan are gathered by RTPAs and are made eligible for funding through the FTA 5310 grant program. So earlier this year, TAMC had the pleasure of Aaron requesting feedback for projects and services for their annual unmet transit and paratransit needs list. This list will identify transportation needs that the community supports but aren't currently being met by existing public transit. And while many transit needs can't be met due to insufficient funding, the unmet needs list is a tool that highlights these needs for decision makers and for the public, as well as identifies the highest priority unmet needs. So these projects are then incorporated into AMBAG's plan that I'm presenting on today, and in doing so are made eligible for funding through the federal program. So program funding can be used to assist private groups, nonprofit groups, and transit operators in improving mobility for seniors and persons with low incomes and individuals with disabilities, removing barriers to using transportation services and expanding available mobility options. So funds can be used for capital or operating expenses and are appropriated based on each state's share of population of these groups and are awarded to projects through a competitive statewide basis. In the past, funding sources have been used to replace or purchase new paratransit vehicles as well as for operating expenses. Other examples of uses include travel training, mobility management programs, and volunteer programs. So what makes up the plan? The requirements of this plan must assess services currently available through the public, private, and nonprofit transportation providers. These assessments are based on identifiable gaps in service, the experiences and perceptions of the planning partners, or on more sophisticated data collection efforts, such as surveys and public data gathering events. And another component of the plan includes creating strategies and activities and projects to address these identified gaps between the current services and the needs that were listed or collected, as well as opportunities to achieve these efficiencies in service deliveries. So number 4, lastly, the plan must prioritize the implementation of projects that close these identified gaps based on the resources, time, and feasibility for implementing specific strategies and activities. Okay, so in addition to the previously listed components of the plan, the draft coordinated plan is also a significant data resource, as it's important for us to all understand the number of people that this plan will serve and the benefit that it will provide. So on this slide, you have the senior population projections by county for the 3 counties over a 20-year period. Monterey County is expected to see an increase of roughly 30,000 seniors by the year 2045. I probably won't go over the San Benito and Santa Cruz options just because we're meeting with MST. We care about Monterey today. So this slide shows the senior population by gender per county. And as you can see, each county has a larger number of females over the age of 65 than males. So the senior populations in Monterey is the same as the regional percentage, and that's at 54% majority female. Okay, another important data set for the plan is to understand the number of persons with disabilities in the region. And you can see in this graph that the total senior population with one or more disabilities is significantly higher than the total population that has one or more disabilities. So 31% of Monterey's senior population has one or more disabilities, compared to the general population having only 9% of the general population having one or more disabilities. Okay, this one shows the population per county that fall below the poverty line. So in red, you can see the number of seniors below the poverty line. And then in blue, it shows everyone under the age of 65 that lies below the poverty line. So this is important because not only do we see seniors having more than one disability, but we also have people with more than one disability also falling under the poverty line, which makes it hard for them to travel or become mobile or maybe able to afford the expenses or mobility needs that they require to get around to appointments. Okay, next step. So like I said at the beginning, AMBAG is currently out for a 30-day public comment period for the draft plan. We approved it on September 14th. So the plan goes from September 15th until October 17th. And I've been making my way around the Tri-County region to committees and working groups. The next two that I have are the tax for TAMC and San Benito COG. And then my last one will be at the elderly and disabled tax for Santa Cruz. And then once I receive any feedback, edits, additions to this draft plan, I have a plan and we're scheduled to approve the plan at AMBAG's November 9th Board of Directors meeting. And so I would love any comments or questions if anyone has received or read through the plan. Specifically, if you all have comments or questions, what I'm looking for is really ensuring that the list of providers that is a part of the plan is as up to date as possible, because not only is this a resource for us as planners, but it's also a resource for the low income, disabled, and people that are going to be looking for mobility options in this plan. And so ensuring that the list of providers is up to date is my biggest concern and what I've been asking committees to take a look at or to respond back to. But if there's anything else that you guys catch or anything else you feel is required or necessary to include in the plan, my email address is mtaylor@ambag.org. And then the draft plan is currently up on AMBAG's website, and it will be up there probably forever. And then, like I said, comments should be back to me by September 7th or October 17th. And then we will be posting the final plan after our November 9th meeting, fingers crossed. So if you have any questions, throw them my way. If not, thank you all for having me today. I appreciate it.
Great. Thank you, Miranda.
Miranda, can you make the user MSC admin host again, please?
With a couple minutes of poking around, I definitely can.
You just have to right click on the user and make host.
Okay, admin, you said?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Any questions for Miranda right now?
Chair, I was just curious if that list of providers was already distributed that the committee can review and then comment on.
That was going to be actually one of my questions. Miranda, is that on the website or where can we access that?
Yeah, it's on the website. You can just go to ambag.org and it's on our front page.
Okay, great.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, great. So I encourage everybody to take a look at that plan and to provide any feedback to Miranda via email if you have any questions or comments. Thanks again.
Give it another shot. Scott may have it.
Hi, Chair. This is Christy with MST. No comment to Miranda's presentation, but just in addition to the link is also provided through the MST website.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to item number 5, reports and information items. And 5.1 is MV Transit MST ride service update. Kevin?
Thank you, Chair Ramirez and members of the committee. I unfortunately do have some very unfortunate and sad news to report to the committee. Doug Thompson, the MV GM for the local division and the individual who has been providing these updates for the last several years. He unfortunately passed away a couple weekends ago. So obviously, MV staff are recovering from that, and just trying to get through this difficult time. We do have here today David Cox. He's he was working as the operations manager, and he's currently interim GM. So he's going to be providing the update today. A little bit about David. He comes with a lot of transportation experience. He worked at FedEx for 19 years, 9 years as a driver in the Bay Area, and then 10 years as the operations manager for the local office here in Monterey. And he has graciously agreed to step in and provide this update on very short notice. And so take it away, Dave. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. Thank you, everybody, for having me today. Do we have the slides available or?
Yeah. Scott, do you have the slides for the MV update? It's let's see here. There we go.
There we go. Okay, guys. All right. Thanks again for having me. As you see in this first slide here, we have data up until June. Unfortunately, we don't have July, August, and up to September right now. Just we transitioned over into a new reporting format and and dispatch portal. That's called EcoLane, if you're familiar with that. We are trying to work out the kinks right now on that reporting. So unfortunately, we only have up until June. We transferred over to them in July. So what I have for you today is up until June. But as you look at this first slide, you can see that there has been an increase of rides trips from last year. As the pandemic had been coming to an end, there's been a lot more passengers requesting trips. So as you can see here, we have an increase from last year, and also an increase in passengers as well, as they're feeling more comfortable getting out and doing things and going to their doctor's appointments and other social events. Next slide, please. This here also, rides passenger per vehicle revenue per hour. As you can look at this also, you can see an uptake in passengers since the pandemic. Would hope to see that to also increase since July, since with this new EcoLane platform that we're using. It is helping us be more efficient with our passengers and our pickup and drop off, where we're boarding more passengers at one time before dropping them off. So I would assume to see an uptick in that as well on the next meeting. Next slide, please. This is our rides, calls, hold times. There is some work that needs to be on this that we need to get a hold of, especially with the under 180 seconds. We have had a transition in our dispatch staffing over the past few months, and we are currently in the process of reestablishing the staffing on that. I'm also working with them as far as handling wrap-up times with the client while they're still on the phone, as opposed to ending the call and then finishing the wrap up, what they need to do for booking that trip. So that should help out with the 180-second hold time right there. Next slide. This graph here, to be honest with you, this is the first time I've seen this one. So I don't know much about this one. Kevin, if you know anything about this, if you could chime in, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. So this is just the number of valid complaints, number of passengers carried between valid complaints. So you can see, like in May, it's, pretty high. That means there were basically like 3,500 passengers between valid complaints, whereas in June, it's a lower number. So that means, unfortunately, that there were more complaints more valid complaints, between passengers. So yeah, that's what that's explaining.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Sure.
All right, next slide. Okay, this is basically the same thing as the last slide, but this is the fixed route and our on-call operation with passengers carried between complaints. So if you want to take a look at that. So, all right, we can go to the next slide. And this one here is our rides missed trips. We have, looking at this from this morning, our rides missed trips are running steady. We do have a few, but it is running, like I said, pretty steady, where it's nothing that's too out of the ordinary or extraordinary on this one. No shows and late cancels. I mean, that happens. We have a lot of those sometimes where clients will cancel at the last minute. They'll cancel the day of for unknown reasons, maybe not feeling well and things like that. But that is that slide. If you can go to the next one, please. And this is our on-time arrival to scheduled appointments. This is something that we are holding steady on as well. I do anticipate seeing it a good increase on this with our on-time arrival with our new EcoLane portal. It's helping us book our trips better, and we also have the PVR now in place that's going to help alert our clients when the trip is scheduled as a reminder for the previous day and the day of. So I do see some improvement on that one as well. And I believe that is all the slides. And Kevin, if you had anything you wanted to add, you can go ahead.
Yeah. I was wondering if you could maybe just talk about the new IVR system that just went online a couple weeks ago.
Yes, IVR, excuse me, I said PVR. IVR, yeah, that is a new system that just took place. We started that up just a couple weeks ago now. And what it is it will give out a courtesy call to all the clients the day before to remind them of their upcoming appointment the next day. So it gives them a call just to remind them, hey, this is when your appointment is. Be prepared to be outside or for the bus to pull up, either 15 minutes prior or 15 minutes after your scheduled trip. And then it also gives them a phone call the day of the trip to alert them that, hey, their bus is on the way. So please proceed to be outside or be prepared to for the bus to be arriving. It has done well. The clients that I've spoken to have appreciated that reminder. That way they know when to be ready and be prepared for the bus. You know, a lot of our clients, tend to be on the elderly side and will, forget that they had booked an appointment. So this reminder has been very helpful to them and to us as well.
Thank you. And yeah, and that's also going to, help with the call hold times probably, because, there's going to be fewer people calling in, and that's going to help free up the phone lines so that, just improve our overall improvement to customer service. So.
Yeah, good point.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. Thank you, Kevin and Dave. We really appreciate the updates and at the last minute. And so sorry to hear about Doug's passing. And I know just in the time that I've served on the committee, I've appreciated his reports at every meeting and also just his presence. So it's really sad news.
Yeah, it is. I appreciate that, Jennifer, and everybody as well for the condolences they've passed on.
Yeah. Any other comments or questions for this report and this update?
I have a question, Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
So thanks for taking over, David. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Do we have, I guess, do you guys keep track on or monitor the ridership level based on comparing that to pre-pandemic levels?
Yeah, we could, provide that information if you needed like the pre-pandemic level trip volume and that sort of thing. We can definitely provide that to the committee.
Yeah, I guess it'd just be interesting to see, and maybe also see, because we had our TAMC board meeting earlier, and that was one of the questions that for the airport that one of the board members had. So it'd be interesting to see that as well, and maybe also to see, if there's any reasons as to why maybe the levels aren't, as increasing as expectedly. But yes, out of curiosity.
Right. Just for a little context. So in February, I always have trouble with that word, February 2020, there were approximately 11,000 trips. And most recently, like in, July, around 8,000 trips. So still haven't, even come close to kind of pre-pandemic levels. But it's about 70% or so of pre-pandemic levels, which is consistent kind of with what fixed route is seeing as well. So. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Aaron. Any other questions?
Chair, I didn't have a question, but just wanted to echo what you said. Condolences to the entire MD team. And just a follow-up comment to the dialogue there with Aaron. I think that across the board, it would be interesting to see, as someone who serves on the area agency for aging, we've seen a decline in overall senior population. So I think that might be alluding to some of the volume. And then we just really have this reality that a lot of people don't still feel comfortable with traveling or being out or using the same resources they did in the past. So I think, some of it has come back to normal, but it would really be interesting to see how our population has been affected post-COVID.
Thank you, Jessica. I do have a question about the reporting. I know that you said you don't have past June, and I totally get that with starting new software. I'm wondering when you anticipate being able to provide those reports, and also will the reporting that has been done look differently? Like, are there new stats or new information that will be presented, or will it be the same information that has been presented to the committee so far?
Excellent question. So yeah, we're working on the sort of the back end to get all this reporting stuff squared away. We're, meeting with MB staff tomorrow, in fact, to kind of, figure this out. And then, what was the second part of your question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, if the information was going to stay the same in terms of what was reported, or if maybe this software has the capability to provide other insights and other statistics into the program.
Yes, so, I think this is a good time to kind of like, since we have this new software, to kind of reevaluate what we're reporting to the committee. Some of these, charts are somewhat confusing and maybe aren't, painting the picture, as accurately as we would like. So, I think that's something that we'll kind of look at with the new software and see how we can improve upon these reports and just give you guys a better idea of how the service is running and how the service delivery is working for our clients. So, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anything else for Kevin or Dave? Okay, great. So we'll go ahead and move on to item 5.2, which is MST mobility updates with Christy.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, committee members and members of the public. So I was actually going to provide update on the MST rides program to include the IVR, but since Kevin and David already covered that, I'm going to go ahead and skip it. So I will have a brief update. At the beginning of this month, MST did launch its van pool program in partnership with Commute Enterprise. It is innovative and sustainable shared mobility option. MST is supporting the van pool program by offering a $450 per month subsidy to increase the incentive for participants. So commuters in Monterey County who are interested in joining the program can reach out to me via email at csugabo@mst.org or directly by visiting our mst.org website, and there's a link to the informational enrollment page. I would be happy to do an update presentation at our next meeting in November. Let's see, we covered the IVR. Just to update the mobility department, we have 2 staff vacancies. One is the position for the mobility coordinator. We are scheduled to interview for that position next week, and then we'll start recruiting for a mobility specialist position next month. That's my update for this month. If there's any question at all, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Christy. Any questions? Okay, wonderful. So we'll move on to, thank you, to item 6 on the agenda, subject item request. Are there any requests for items to be included on a future agenda? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to item number 7, announcements and appreciations.
Hi, this is Raina, and I apologize for being late. I was in a goodbye. We're saying goodbye to our transportation coordinator. She's on to other adventures, and we wish her well. And but I wanted to share because I don't know if Jessica shared this for the Senior Day Fair. We had a lot of seniors come, and we were excited. We have 40 plus agencies participate in providing information for our seniors on September 1st. But the exciting thing I want to share, and I know how now you do your data with transportation and getting all those numbers and percentages. Well, we had 20 seniors ride the bus from Salinas. They started from the firehouse, met up here at Alliance on Aging office. And so from the firehouse, Diachi Apartments, and AOA office seniors got together and got on the bus to go to Monterey for the senior. And that was exciting because our oldest senior that went with us was 88 years old. So we were glad that they participated. And again, it was because someone was joining them in a group by themselves. They're still leery about going on the bus by themselves. But because it was a group and they had their neighbor or a friend join them, that was really good. And I wanted to share that. And thank you, MST, for making sure that our seniors always get to a place and safe and adventurous. So I just wanted to share that. It was really good. That's all.
Great. Thank you, Raina. Sounds like it was a great event.
I do have one announcement from TAMC. So today we just had our TAMC board at 9 in the morning. And in that agenda packet that we had was the asking for the board to approve the program guidelines for the Senior Disabled Transportation Program. So later into this week, by the end of the week, I will email our list of contacts for the Senior Disabled Transportation Program, basically announcing the call for projects, and we'll release the materials for the application. And then we do have a date set for the workshop for prospective applicants. That is October 12th. And when I send out that email, it'll have the list, the information, more information on the workshop. So yes, and applications will be due by the end of November on December 1st.
Great.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Aaron.
I have a quick announcement. So MST is celebrating our 50th year anniversary. So on October 1st, there's going to be free fares system-wide. And there's also some outreach events at some of our transit facilities. So out in Salinas, Monterey Transit Plaza, Salinas Transit Center, and the Marina Transit Exchange. There's going to be some outreach out there from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. We're going to be giving out cookies. So if you want a cookie and want some free transportation on Saturday, we've got you covered.
Great. Thanks, Kevin. Cookies do sound very, very tempting right now. Okay, any other announcements or appreciations? Okay, so then it looks like our next scheduled meeting date is November 30th. So please make sure you have that on your calendar, and it looks like we are ready to adjourn. Remind me, Claudia, if I need to have a vote to adjourn. I'm sorry, I always forget, every meeting's different.
No, we don't need one.
Okay, great. So I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 1:51 p.m. And again, thank you all for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jennifer.